All right. Yeah. Cool, thanks. Firstly, can I get any ex-service members, defence or emergency service, just put their hand up. I'd like to give you all a round of applause. Thanks for your service, guys. So, my name's Michael, as just discussed. We've got Maxie, Damon and Brooke. Today we're just going to sort of share some of our stories and then open it up to the floor for any questions about PTSD, cannabis or anything surrounding that. So some of you may have heard my partner speak up in the hall an hour or so ago. I served in Afghanistan. I'm an Afghanistan veteran. I served with the Australian Army for 4 years. And in 2010 I was deployed to Afghanistan for about 8 months. During that time, obviously, there was a lot of ups and downs. Unfortunately, the reality of war is it's not all pretty. And I was involved in a contact where one of my friends was killed. After that event, probably about a week later, I started noticing full body involuntary muscular twitches. To the point, trying to drink water, I'd spill it on myself, trying to light a cigarette, I couldn't do it. And then walking through the mess, I'd spill my meal tray and food everywhere. I was subsequently sent home and went through a lot of brain scans and sort of neurosurgeons and that sort of thing to rule out any trauma from explosions or bombs. And it was written down as I was diagnosed as PTSD and conversion disorder, which was essentially a physiological present manifestation of PTSD. Like most of ex-service members, I was put on a lot of medications, most of which didn't really do much except for just dose me out and make me feel like a zombie all day. Another vice common within the military is alcohol, and so because I wasn't really feeling much because of the medications, just started drinking myself. It got to a point where I was either going to kill myself or I'd get into bouts of rage where I wanted to take things out on my psychiatrist or the Department of Veterans Affairs. I was either going to hurt myself or someone else and land myself in jail. So thankfully to my partner, she started looking overseas and seeing some of the other things that they were using, and cannabis was one of those. We incorporated not just cannabis but a whole broad range of alternative modalities into our lifestyle: floating, yoga, eating a healthy diet, and that's sort of what came about to bring out Weeded Warrior. We wanted to, once I started noticing so much benefit with these modalities, I wanted to start sharing them with other veterans and helping other veterans. And I was lucky enough to connect with these guys that were all on similar paths. So I'll hand over to one of the other team. Yep, Maxie, you want to go first, mate?
No. Choice. If you don't want.
Well, my name's Max. I served for 12 years in the Australian Army. I was as a medic and a theatre technician. I was lucky enough to be deployed 3 times overseas. In some awesome places in the world. Unfortunately, what you see is the thing what scars in your brain. You know, you don't think about it when you're 19, 20, 21. It's when you get older and after, for me it was anyway, that it's caught up. So yeah, I served in Somalia, Rwanda, then Bougainville. I got out, I'm one of the older guys compared to these young dudes. So I've tried a lot of different treatments in the past. The hardest thing for me was you go to counselling, you go to any drug, you know, your psychiatrist, and you know, walking for a half an hour appointment, 5 minutes, that's all you get, and all it is time for them to sit there and give you scripts to bomb you out for the next few weeks until your next appointment. So that wasn't working for me, so I decided to pursue other avenues, and 4 years ago I started using cannabis in conjunction with my other meds. Well, I've got rid of all my other meds and my PTSD is 100% better. I manage it now because I actually manage what I put into myself instead of the shit that they put in. So screw the others. meeting these guys, they're the ones who have helped me because they've given me other alternative ways instead of just doing the old smoke and that's it and have a bong or a joint. I can actually see the different side of things and learn the different strains. So I've learned a lot in my time in a short time about what works for me. And I am appreciative there's guys like my partner Beck over there that's actually part of all this to help the veteran community out, because we're not getting it from anywhere else. So that's just a quick thing about me, so I'll pass it on back down.
Hi guys, I'm Damon. I guess for my story I can take it back to 1995 when I was 17 and joined the Navy. I got to visit plenty of great times and places in the times I was in the Navy for 11 years. I got to deploy to the Persian Gulf in 2002, just after the World Trade Center went down. Went up there for 9 months on HMAS Arunta. Got right up to the Iraqi Peninsula, which is pretty good to see, and then all back down through the bottom again. After I left the Navy, I joined the police force in Adelaide. And it wasn't until I was in the police force, I had an accident to my knee, had all the meniscus taken out of my leg, which means the femur hits on the top of the tibia every now and then, lets me know I'm alive. And their pain management plan was to put me on opiates for the rest of my life. And I worked up the dependency of OxyContin, which is heroin in a pill, to about 30 milligrams a day. And I'd have to cycle 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, while I was a cop, while I had a young family at home. Young marriage as well. I was 10 years younger back then as well, and it wasn't going to see me out. I wasn't going to be doing another 2 years, let alone 5 years. I had depression as well at that stage, so they put me on a medication called Pristique, and that was good enough to take all of my emotion away that I had left over from the OxyContin. So my life just became a walking fog. It was autonomous. I just started doing things. I wasn't existing anymore. I was just being, and I decided that I just couldn't do this for the rest of my life. I didn't want to have a family at home. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to make love to my wife. It was just, there was nothing there. There was any joy, no anger, no sadness, no pain. Yay, but you got nothing else either. And a friend with multiple sclerosis came up one day and said, "Have you tried cannabis?" And this is after I just spent the last few years kicking indoors, ripping up people's plants, laughing as we dragged their carbon filters out of their roofs and bouncing them down their hallways and carbon dust going everywhere. I knew nothing about any drug as a cop or before that when I was in the Navy. If you asked me anything about a drug, I would have said if you take drugs you're a junkie and that's it. I wouldn't have separated them, but if you did booze or pills it's okay because that's legal and that's the way I was brought up. Legal things are okay. So the friend with MS said, try cannabis. I was at the stage of my life where I had to. There wasn't another pharmaceutical option that I could try that was going to better what I was doing. Cannabis had to be it. So I went out, made an awesome orchie bottle for the first time in my life, cut off a bit of the hose. Don't think the wife minded too much. Went out and bought some weed, which was probably one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life, buying a $25 bag of weed 2 weeks out after being a cop. Thinking I've got some Allen's Vans on me and there's someone in the fish and chip shop watching me buy this bag of weed from a mate of a mate of a mate out the front, sneaking down in the front of your seat. Got the weed, took it home, put it in my awesome alfoil cone that I'd made, that I'd engineered for about 20 minutes because it had to be a good cone. Had my first cone of weed and 5 minutes later I started crying. It was probably one of the profoundest moments in my life where I knew I was going to live. It was good. It made me wonder why I've been lied to for like the whole of my life about drugs and just the whole thing about it. And I thought this has got to change. This has to change. And as a dad, I just started getting into drug and alcohol education, and I was hearing other stories about other vets and Mick and Brooke I'd served with as well, and I thought we can't just be given pills for the rest of our lives and doing this. I was losing mates faster than they were having kids, and it wasn't going to be a good thing. So I started researching lots. I spent most of my living hours that I could reading and reading and reading and reading and reading and following the source until I got down to the source of everything, and then I was checking who was paying for the research and what their intentions were, and I had to know that all the information that I was knowing, that there wasn't going to be any counter for any argument that I could do. I had to play devil's advocate on everything. I'm a massive skeptic, and I've got to know the evidence to support it. I teach science now to kids, and kids ask me about drugs. I can't give them any moral-based opinion. It has to be evidence that they can back up on. So I started learning about drugs and getting into the drug game and cannabis and cannabinoids and how cannabis could stop my pain and make me feel better, and it had no negative side effects. And for me, the negative side effects was the stigma, and telling my family and my friends and people that I'd served with for years about, hey, I'm using cannabis now, and then hitting the slack that came to me sort of thing, and they'd be like, well, you know, you've chosen that path for yourself, Damon, you know, you shouldn't have stopped the antidepressants. I know people that have gone on cannabis and they've frazzled their brain and that sort of stuff, and in my head I know there's a Harvard study from 2013 about schizophrenia, and there's research about this and this research about this, and there's so much information to tell people in the little time of moment that you got with them, and people are very ignorant and still just conservative about cannabis, and that was one of the main things that I came up with. And even when we went to Canberra last year and briefed the national RSL guys there about cannabis, they were all on board, but they knew the biggest thing was selling it to the community. And how do we go from this side of having these big, strong men and women that are going to fight for the country and coming back scarred for the rest of their lives, but then we just give them pills and slip them over to the DVA and manage them for the rest of their lives, sort of thing. But they're not being managed. They're being kept alive on life support pills that are slowly killing them anyway, and it's not changing their life. So I guess that's what brought me here. Nick asked me to join Meated Warrior one day, which I was emphatic, massive yes about, and awesome to help. And it's another great avenue that we can get on board and really get out there and talk to people about vets and police and emergency service workers and really anyone, the general public. We've all had lives with experiences and trauma in some way, shape or form. It's just, it doesn't matter how we got our scars or our badges and medals and that sort of stuff. Everyone's got different stories to tell, but we're all up here to tell you that the cannabis has probably saved our lives, and we'd like it to save more lives. I'll pass you on to Brooke.
Hello. Like Damon said, I served with Damon in the Navy. I was 8 years as a linguist in the Navy, and during that time I experienced sexual assault while I was deployed to a war zone, and we were clearing mines during the initial assault on Iraq. And when I came back from that deployment, I was not myself, and yeah, from that day onwards, I needed help to manage my mental health, and I began treatment in the Navy with antidepressants, and I had 10 years of pharmaceutical treatment, and that included 3 different types of antidepressants. And while I was on that medication, I sort of lost passion for life, really, and yeah, I struggled to find any purpose. I left the Navy, and I took a job with the government, and that was in an oversight body. It was called the Police Integrity Commission in New South Wales, and in that job I I helped investigate corrupt police, and I got a real sense for social justice, and it was a bit of a hangover from my experience in defence, I think. And so I left that job eventually because I was struggling to manage my mental health, and at the same time my physical health was deteriorating. I was in a lot of pain, I had chronic back pain and neck pain. I was using combined opiates. I ended up on fentanyl patches and benzodiazepines, and was in a really toxic place, and it wasn't helping, and I knew I needed to find something else. And so I left the city behind and moved back to the Northern Rivers, and I started to learn about cannabis, and I'm still here learning about cannabis. And in the journey I met some other veterans, which was really good, because it's really difficult coming out of defence, and it would be the same for a lot of other jobs, to talk about using cannabis, to even look up cannabis on the internet. There's a lot of fear, and yeah, it can take a long time to find the confidence to speak about your experience, and it can take a long time to come off pharmaceuticals and find something that works. And I think a lot of us are still looking for exactly the right combination, and we're really encouraged that more people want to be interested in helping veterans, because that'll help a lot of people, because yeah, we're all dealing with life, and that involves a lot of trauma, and I think as a group, if we can help, that would be really powerful, and that would give me some purpose. So yeah.
So, as you've just heard some stories about how cannabis directly, whether smoking, vaporising, taking it in tincture form, has helped some veterans, but it can go further and more beyond just using it as a medication. My partner and I have now been over to the United States a couple of times to interact with some of the other ex-service organisations. And some of the things that they're actually finding cannabis also does is it creates a community. Like, look at the community we got here now. Something that ex-defence, ex-emergency services really lack is that sense of camaraderie. So we build this tight bond while we're in service, and we rely on it to either keep ourselves alive, our mates alive, or those we're treating alive. But once we leave that service, we almost have a lack of purpose, and we don't feel like we fit in with a lot of civilian groups or other groups. So by creating this cannabis community within an ex-service organisation, it gets guys coming out of their house. And some of the things that we saw happening in the United States were dudes were running monthly meetings. And it started off just with a couple of guys who were growing and had an extra couple of ounces of buds that they didn't know what to do with. So they were saying, hey, let's run a monthly meeting and we'll give this stuff to veterans for cost price or for free. And now, because of obviously in the United States they have dispensaries and a legal system, they can go and approach organisations, get donations, and they're running these meetings. There's one group called Santa Cruz Veterans Alliance. I think they get around 500 veterans coming out of their homes, which is a massive trap for suicide, sitting at home and having a conversation with yourself, and learning, not just getting stoned, learning about what can help, talking with other veterans. And there's more than just cannabis. There's other alternatives that these guys are talking about and getting benefit out of. And then there's also the cultivation side. I don't know, some people may have gotten into growing, even just gardening your own fruit and vegetables. There's a very healing and grounding presence there when you're in the garden. And so through cultivation, guys are then able to then give meds that they've grown themselves back to their comrades, back to these guys that they've once served with or have supported in service. So there's numerous ways that through Weeded Warrior, we've got visions we'd like to try and support veterans in a range of different sort of directions. Yeah. You got anything else to add, Dan? We'll just open it up to the floor. Yeah. Anyone got any questions or?
We got an hour to talk about anything, so
Definitely.
So like I've got PTSD, childhood abuse, and I was wondering if you guys use anything like PTSD or EMDR kind of therapy as well? Because I combined that, and I'm using cannabis at the moment, so I combine some of those modalities. And also I found relation to be really good, because if you actually got excess levels, everyone does like depression and just living, and it actually gets blood vein barrier can actually hold in the trauma as well. So when you actually do the inhalation, it can actually release trauma. So it's actually really good to do that, as well as having the cannabis, and then also, some of those other modalities.
Yeah, definitely. And I know personally from my own experience, like you were saying, it wasn't just cannabis that helped me out. Diet played a very big role. Some of you may have seen the photos up there. Within, I think, 6 months, I lost about 30 kilos purely just by reducing the pharmaceuticals I was on and eating a healthier diet. A lot more plant-based. I wouldn't say I'm veggie or anything like that, but I definitely eat a lot less meat. And I'm more conscious about what I am putting in, whether that be the cannabis I'm using or the food that I'm eating to fuel my system. So yeah, definitely considering all avenues and try different things. Don't just be fixated on one thing, be open. Some things I've tried haven't worked for me, but have worked for other people I know. So be open. If you hear something, give it a whirl.
Yeah, so true.
Something?
Question?
Yep.
Yeah, can I just, so the government don't want to do the proper trials, obviously, because it's going to just put them back in money and they can't profit off it. Why is it that us community just can't stand up together and do our own trials? Like, why can't we set up a funding where we all come together, put money towards this funding, get kids around Australia and show the benefits and show the side effects? Like, my son was on 7 benzos, 100 seizures a day still. You know, then I go put him on cannabis and then boom, you know, like instantly changed. You know, he was dying. You know, got told to go home, plan a funeral, this other stuff. Then you put him on cannabis, and, you know, it's like a soul. You see the eyes, you can see him alert, you can see him there. And this is what we want. Like, I want to push for these kids to have it before benzos, before they're destroyed. You know, these not even FDA approved. They're not even tried at the age of 5. My son's been on it 2 weeks old. Like, put on midazolam that's not registered at age 8, and that's used for death penalties. Like, these are the things they're giving to kids just willy-nilly everywhere. Like, us as a community are stand for kids too. You know, we just need to step up, because if we show it in kids now, then it's going to be for everyone. And these kids don't have a voice, and that's why they're targeting them so quickly, because they can't tell what you've just said. I felt good. I felt better, because my son hasn't got a voice. You know, and I'm targeted as I'm a mum that's drugging up my kid, you know, all this other stuff. Where we need to come together as a community. We need to bring like this foundation where we can come together and show the government, if you're not going to do it, we'll do it, and prove that this plant should be invaded in everyone's backyard, used for everyone's use, just like broccoli, just like carrot. It should be in our salads. It should be everything we use. It's our cannabinoid systems triggering. This is what we need. You know, it's unfair that our kids are being targeted and destroyed. Like, I got told to go plan a funeral. Like, there's so much stuff, and I've seen kids deteriorate because now they're being punished because they're not allowed cannabis. Like, I'm from Queensland, so we're not, like, in the hospital where I'm at, you take cannabis in, they call the police and they take it off you, you know. My son's off all pharmaceutical meds. He's on an organic diet, completely organic, and his just life changed completely, 100% completely. I've seen my son awaken. I was watching him die. I was a happy person. I felt depressed, but when I look at my son, I just felt this hollowness, like I was watching my son die. You know, I said to my doctors, like, I'm happy, but I don't know what's wrong with me. Inside, I'm dying. You know, and I know now because I was watching him. I felt him dying in me. You know, so I've started this cannabis, and I'm just broken. Like, I've just seen him become this little kid that he should have been in the first place, but he's now damaged from being on benzos for so long, and now he's just hurt from it. So I think as a community, we all should step together. You know, we all should prove if they're not going to do it for them, we should. You know, because the voices aren't there for the kids, and we're struggling to. You know, I'm upset. I watch kids die and die. Like, I've been in hospital 6 months, and 3 kids pass around me. Like, it's unfair, like completely unfair. So I think that we really should step up and make it more of a voice for the kids as well, and make sure we make our organisation where we can filter through these trials that we're doing as parents. Because we keep records. We've got suppliers and dealers that help. You know, they keep records. They show the dosage, what they're using. Like, this is where it needs to be taken to the public and say, this is what's happening. These healers aren't just drug dealers. They're healers, and they're keeping trials. these people are the people that are going to be the future for our children and keep them alive and give them the quality of life without destroying it straight away. Like, my son should have had it 2 weeks off instead of benzos, like nitrazepam, midazolam, phenobarb, you know, Topamax, Sabril, all, like, keeps just going. He's on 100 different medications pumped out of all different types of meds.
Yeah, I think that's where, as you say, as a community, we really need to step up. But I mean, it's also why, as our organisation, we're encouraging veterans to start looking into it themselves. And as you say, parents of young children, everyone should be looking into this themselves and educating themselves. As you know, doctors don't really know much about this subject. Yes, there's international doctors that do know stuff, but in Australia there's limited doctors that know a lot about this stuff. So start looking into it yourselves and start supporting the community. And it is not just each other, but inter-groups as well, supporting each other.
Well, you're the voice, really, to tell you the truth. You're the voice of my son, Mum.
Yeah, thank you.
You
Yeah.
are, really, and that's why I speak like the way I want you guys to be able to speak for these other kids too. It's just, they're dying for no reason, they're in pain for no reason.
Yep. Yeah.
So, Paul Connolly, Associated Press. Just got a couple of quick questions for you. What opposition have you guys would have already had from the military hierarchy? How have you been received by the defence?
At the moment, we've tried having meetings with certain